Today, I speak with a sad heart, because speaking personally, and particularly as a Catholic, I was horrified to learn that the Church of Satan was in fact now registered in this country just this year. Yet is it a coincidence that almost immediately thereafter the COVID pandemic fell, and this during our country's perhaps most corrupt period, and we see the father of lies becoming publicly acceptable. On the other hand, we see the disallowing of church services and public masses. So how do we make sense of all of this? And importantly, what would Padre Pio have said and done? Did he have any similar disinvited guests, so to speak? Did Padre Pio in fact experience the adversary of our Lord opposing him? And what was Padre Pio's reaction? Well, usually at this point, I would be asking you to subscribe to our channel and to join our Mass prayer intentions. But today is slightly different, as I'm going to just ask that we may keep this conversation going and that you do something, which includes prayer and penances. And if you're able, if you're going to claim to be with our Lord Jesus Christ, then now is the time, is one of those points in time to show him. You, of course, are welcome to leave suggestions in the comments below. And for those who are religious, just leave comments showing what is being done so that the faithful can feel encouraged. They will not feel abandoned. For any further information, please see more just below there. There'll be a little more information there. He was a murderer from the beginning, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of liars. And our Lord was saying this about his adversary, the devil, that is Satan. He was a liar and a murderer. Now on to some Padre Pio stories, and given in no particular order. When Francisco Forgiani, who later became Padre Pio, was just 5 years old, his biographer tells us that the devil made himself known and forcing himself on the child, on Padre Pio, at just 5 years of age, and with all his infernal rage, he would appear to Francisco dressed as a man or a beast under some obscene form, and often present in the guise of persons dear to Francisco. This was total deception. And what was Padre Pio's reaction? Well, Padre Pio's confessor, in fact, recalls that the thought and desire for Padre Pio to consecrate himself forever to our Lord also occurred at this time. So this calling of Padre Pio obviously made the devil furious. And so he harassed Padre Pio. To see this, the devil must have been very astute, but he is clearly not a gentleman. And that's how it is with the saints, at just 5 years of age, dedicating their lives to God. It's incredible. Later on, when Padre Pio was already in the monastery, and this is from the book Padre Pio the Stigmatist, Padre Pio was tormented by vicious attacks by evil spirits, as though the powers of darkness were putting up a desperate fight to destroy this little monk. And this is very similar to Saint John Vianney, better known as the Cura de Ars, who had similar physical battles with the devil. Fra Pio's cell was often visited in his absence by the same unwelcome guest. And when Padre Pio returned, he would find everything strewn around, books torn, and ink spattered all over the walls. And of course, it's not hard to guess who this unwelcome guest was. The same book also says, Padre Pio found himself often surrounded by hideous monsters who jeered at him and insulted him and challenged him to do battle. At other times, the demons even came disguised as monks. One appeared as Padre Agostino, and he was exhorting Padre Pio to give up his life of penance and asceticism and assuring him that God did not approve. And of course, Padre Pio was shocked and bewildered, but he still had the presence of mind. And he ordered the monk to cry out with him, "Viva Gesù!" The immediate effect, the apparition vanished, leaving no trace but a sulphurous stench in the room. And another time, it was a hot summer's night, and Padre Pio could not sleep. And he heard someone walking up and down in the cell, that is the room next to his. And thinking it was Fra Anastasio, he went to the window to exchange a few words of sympathy, but was shocked there to see a monstrous black dog staring back at him from his neighbor's window. With wild, ferocious eyes, the creature leapt and immediately disappeared over the roof. What sort of dog disappears over the roof? The next day, he also found out that Fra Anastasio had previously been moved to another cell. So it was clearly not Fra Anastasio pacing up and down, but rather it was the same unwelcome guest. And this is going back to the year 1902, when Francisco was just 15 years of age. He had this vision, and he saw two groups of people. The one with beautiful faces and dressed in white on the one side, and the other with a frightening aspect on their faces, and they were all dressed in black. And Padre Pio's soul was in between, was in the middle of these two groups, and in front of him stood an enormous giant. And Padre Pio was called to fight the giant. He said it was a giant of such immeasurable height that his head touched the clouds. And of course, Padre Pio trembled and was terrified. But besides Padre Pio stood a radiant figure, perhaps his guardian angel, we'll see now, who urged him on to fight the giant. Urged him, saying, "I will be right here and will not let him hurt you." The encounter was fierce, but Francisco gained the upper hand and won. And the radiant figure was happy, he was pleased, and was about to place a crown on Francisco's head. But then he withdrew it, saying, "Another crown, more beautiful, is reserved for you if you know how to do battle with the one whom you have just fought. Fight him valiantly and never doubt my help." So what did this giant vision mean? Well, in 1903, Francisco had this enlightenment that his entry into the religious life, that is, into the monastery, in the service of the heavenly King, was to be the battle against the mysterious man, that is, against the giant and hell, with whom he had done combat. Padre Pio understood that the heavenly guide was in fact Jesus Christ, who would sustain Padre Pio in his battles as long as he trusted in him alone and fought valiantly.
In nome del Padre, del Figliolo e dello Spirito Santo, così sia. Sia lodato Gesù e Maria, oggi e
If you're new to our channel, then please feel free to subscribe to our channel and click the like button, as it helps us. It improves our rankings with YouTube. Please remember that if you go to our website and you send an email from there to us, then we will include you in this Friday's Mass Prayer Intentions for the protected children of Padre Pio.